What up guys, welcome back to another video on NFTs. Today is something different. This is just a commentary video on an article that I read this morning on Medium, and the article asks if a project doesn't sell out completely at mint stage, at public mint stage, do you consider that a failed project? And it comes from the developer's perspective. He says that he doesn't feel like it's a failed project just because, you know, your 10,000, your 5,000, your 6,000, whatever NFT mints don't sell out at launch. It doesn't mean it's a failed project. Now, there's kind of two perspectives. Obviously, there's the seller and then the buyer. Now, the buyer who's buying into the project may want to just do a quick flip. And if the supply outstrips the demand in the sense that the 5,000 NFT does not sell out at public launch, then obviously that can potentially bottom out the floor price, and well, you've just made a really unfortunate investment that hasn't paid off for you. But in terms of the development team, there's another side, and there's multiple factors that they consider in whether a project has failed or not. And with that said, let's take a look at the article because I think it's an interesting read. There's probably a few things that we can all learn. So the project that we're looking at is called Zombie State University. I'm not affiliated. They don't pay me. They haven't airdropped me anything. I just read the article and I thought, okay, let's take a look at the project. The artwork is pretty cool. I like it. They launched on October 29th, so it's been some time now. I haven't looked at floor prices or anything else. I believe they may not have sold out even, who knows. So the artwork is cool. You can read the narrative if you're interested in free. This is free advertising for them. Okay, so the inside story of an NFT project that didn't sell out, what they don't tell you. So Justin came into the development team after being propositioned by multiple other groups, but he chose this one because it kind of resonated with him. He came in to write the smart contract on Solidity, so meaning they used Ethereum to launch this project, and he worked on most of the technicals, project mechanics, and the drop. Now, the first mistake, the timeline for the project was too aggressive. So on September 9th, he joined the project and they were hoping to launch prior to Halloween. So, you know, obviously that makes sound marketing. Produce something that is zombie inspired and launch prior to Halloween so people can have their NFT minted and kind of shill it and have it as their profile picture prior to Halloween. Now, that was their first mistake. They had hoped to give themselves some time, some wiggle room to work behind the scenes before they start working on the community, right? So it's clear that we should have been working on the community immediately. Community is so important. Building that strong community that can rally around your project and support your project and shield for your project and promote your project, you know, that is just free advertising for your project. So they were mostly focused on organic growth, and to be frank, that's a beating. Now, organic growth is one of the hardest things that you could develop. He says that usually it takes many years, right, to develop a true and tried community, but they were trying to do it in 28 days. This is essentially the same as anything when it's branding, when it's franchising, when it's YouTube, when it's any kind of business or brand following. It takes years to build that, and they're trying to launch a project within 28 days and build that organic community that can rally around it. Nearly impossible. So he talks about the dirty little secret that essentially is not that big of a secret in the NFT community, right? People are paid to shill NFT projects. Celebrities are paid to shill brands and merchandise and advertising in general. So it's not a big secret that a lot of shill tubers, I think they're called, that shill and promote certain projects do get paid. If you have some sense of morals about you, then you have a level of discomfort about knowing that someone's paid you to kind of promote their product. So it always works best if you have some natural interest in that project anyway, like that project resonates with you, you think there is potential in that project and you want to spread the word. And if you get financially rewarded for that, then in a way you can justify it and you feel fine. But I'll tell you a little funny thing that happened. So I get a lot of emails saying, hey, do you want to promote this? Do you want to collab? Do you want to do whatever? Now, in one instance, the team sent an email asking for collaborations, and they sent it to all, right? So you can see the whole list of people that were emailed asking for, hey, do you want to collaborate with us? And there were some big names, there were some small names, and it was interesting to see like there were people with 100,000 subscribers, and there was people like with 500 subscribers. So it just runs the spectrum. And one person accidentally replied all, and it was interesting to see how much he was charging. This person replied all, everyone could see it, and he was asking for $2,000 for like a 5 to 7 minute video. And it was, and that was kind of mind blowing for me. That was like, really? You would charge that much? But anyway, that kind of opened my eyes to everything. So Justin writes in this article that they put some money to cover the inevitable gas fees. So if you work on Solidity and you launch the contract on the Ethereum platform, then obviously there's gas prices for you to do that. So as part of dev team, they each contributed $1,000 to cover the transactions that were needed to kind of create the contract and do whatever they needed to do. They found initial growth when they first launched, and they quickly found that the community growth stagnated. Okay, there was a week in October when it not only stagnated, but the overall community count dropped, and that, I imagine, is a terrible feeling, like he mentions here. So they then connected with PyDAO, okay, which is a group, and their agreement was PyDAO would, I guess, invest a little bit of money into their project, and in return they would airdrop 100 zombies to members of the PyDAO community. So they struck up a deal, right, which obviously allowed them to have a little bit more funding, a little bit more breathing room, a little bit more freedom to do what they wanted to do with their project. So stinging from not only growing their community, but watching the community shrink, they stressed out a little bit, and well, they capitulated, right? As the launch date neared, they decided to reach out to some influencers. In the final 2 weeks, they spent $3,500 on influencers, and the result, well, they added 450 new Discord users across the platform. Now, I've spoken to people that have sunk up to $50,000 in marketing, whether that's promotions, whether that's tweets, whether that's videos, whether that's whatever it is. They've spent up to $50,000 in promotions, and it kind of netted them like, I don't know, 1,000 users or something like that. So Justin here writes that the customer acquisition cost was $7.77, and that is not a good metric. Now, the cost kept coming. They advertised on Rarity Sniper. They bought a featured post, and then that cost them 1 Ether. And at the time that they paid the 1 ETH, it was $4,000, and that only netted them 38 new community members with a customer acquisition cost of $105, so even more dearer than what it was before. So at this point, they are really feeling the sting of expenses. He says, to be clear, this is not Rarity Sniper's fault. Obviously, they don't kind of influence who clicks on that post or who visits their site. But he says throwing away money in marketing is kind of expected when it comes to this side of the project, right? So we'd built up a whitelist of wallet addresses for the pre-sale, and not a large one, mind you. And not only that, they also had to spend money on airdropping, people in the PyDAO, and then they had giveaways that they had to airdrop as well. So this is all costing them money, because when you airdrop something, obviously you're transacting on the Ethereum blockchain, and it's costing you money. It's not costing the person that won the giveaway anything. So the gas price was spiking. So by the 28th of October, it hit its peak around that time. So again, they should have postponed their pre-sale and public sale, but they didn't. Up until this day, they're not sure what they could have done differently. But yeah, gas prices was really hurting them really hard. All up, it cost them about over $14,000 to transact alone on the Ethereum network. And they said that without the deal with PyDAO, they wouldn't have been able to kind of successfully launch. So there has to be some good that comes away from this, right? Absolutely, there is. The community they built is very tight-knit. They have a movie night, they have live art streams, they chat in Discord, and the chat, the banter, the conversation is much more fun than sifting through a bunch of comments about the floor prices and the rarity rankings. So there you go. There's quite a few things to learn. The takeaways from this article is, 1, community is key. Organic growth of community, whilst it can be very difficult, seems to be the way to go. But time management is also a key takeaway, because you need to dedicate time on building the community first. And if you push yourself with a poor time management schedule, then you make rash decisions, right? You end up paying influencers to bring in clients that may not work out. So you're just spending more and more money and not see that potential return. What else? Blockchain. The choice of blockchain, with so many blockchains out there at the moment, with so many available networks that you can mint and launch on, I find it disappointing, astonishing, surprising that a lot of people still use Ethereum. I know Ethereum is a tried and true and tested blockchain network, and Solidity is one of the main programming languages that you use to write smart contracts, and a lot of developers out there available that can do that for you. But the transaction cost on Ethereum is just in a world of its own. It just costs way too much to transact. And again, that's also something that you need to consider on the dev team when you're launching projects. So at the end of the day, is it a failed launch if it doesn't sell out? Well, like I said from the beginning of the video, if you're a flipper, maybe, because you'll see the price bottom out. But if you're part of the dev team, then you have a long-term vision, right? When it comes to the roadmap, usually most roadmaps are 12 months to 2 years long. So it's only the investor that considers it a failed project. Usually developers don't. They keep plugging away, they keep chilling, they keep hoping that people buy into their project, and they continue to sell. So let's take a look at OpenSea and look at Zombie State University. So if you jump into Zombie State University website, you see that of 8,888 zombies, they have only minted 308. Okay, that is, you see that number and straight away you think, woof, that is pretty rough. Like, in terms of metrics and numbers, that is pretty much a fail. And if you jump onto the OpenSea, you see here that the floor price is 0.05. So there is at least one that is below floor price. Okay, 0.06 ETH to mint, and someone's just trying to get rid of their zombie at 0.05. So like I said, some people take a loss in it and that drops the floor price, but yeah, whether that's a failure or not, it just depends on how much you want to involve yourself in the community and what's your mindset at the time. So with that said, guys, again, free advertising for Zombie State University. If you're interested, take a look. But I just thought it was an interesting story to take a look at both sides of the fence, and how perspective can indicate whether a project is a pass or a fail, or success or a fail in the NFT space. So with that said, hope you enjoy your day, night, noon, morning, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.